Hey friends! Last episode, I showed you guys the new location. I'm taking over the former Wimpy's spot. So today I'm actually going to talk to you a little bit about why I picked that spot, what my plans are for it, and to kind of address some of the comments that I've had. I really appreciate everyone's enthusiasm about this restaurant, and I'm really sorry it's still going to take me months to get, to opening. I've had people come up to me when I'm out shopping and just kind of tell me how excited they are. And yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking because now we're like building all this hype and we don't want to let people down. I think everyone knows I'm going to do my best and give me some grace there. It's really kind of giving me that fuel to get this done as soon as possible. So first, let's talk about the location. Why did I pick that one? I have actually had my eye on that location for quite some time because it's so close to my existing restaurant now. It's literally a 3-minute walk. We're basically neighbors. So from a logistical and time standpoint, it's very convenient for me to go from one to the other to check on it. I actually really enjoy being on Lansdowne Street. It's definitely different from downtown. With downtown, you are side by side with the other owners, so you have more of like a neighborhood feel. With Lansdowne, you don't actually see the owners of the business because they're such big businesses, but you get to really know the employees that come into the restaurant. So I think that's really good. That way we still build relationships, just different kinds of relationships. There is no doubt that that location is really good. It's got so much street visibility, right? It's at the intersection, so there's a light right there and you kind of can't really miss it. From an accessibility standpoint, there's so much parking. People don't even know this. There's actually parking behind that plaza as well, but you would never really need to use it. So that's my main thing is if I've learned anything, it's that location is really important depending on the kind of concept you're opening. One of the biggest challenges with signing a lease is knowing if you can even afford it. Based on my experience with Hanoi House and how much sales we generate there, and knowing the sales of my parents' business, how much we did on average in a week there, and accounting for inflation and all that fun stuff, I felt really confident of being able to sign that lease, knowing I have to make X amount of sales to make that lease viable. So generally in the restaurant industry, you want to get your lease to be about 10% of your net sales and below. Let's say my rent is $10,000. In order to make my business even slightly viable, I have to do at least $100,000 a month just to be able to afford that space. Next, let's talk about what I plan on doing with the space. I originally was going to just do the same type of style my parents did, where you can do takeout and then you can do dine-in and just order off the menu. The thing is, I can already foresee the restaurant being quite busy, that it's going to be hard to balance takeout orders and dine-in orders. When you cook things on a wok, you're doing every single item, right? Each item, and you can only cook by X amount of items in a certain span of time. So the buffet actually wasn't my initial idea. It wasn't until we sat down and actually thought about how we were going to execute this in a timely fashion to be able to serve as many people as possible and serve and complete as many orders as possible, that we pivoted to doing a buffet. Anyone that knows my buffets from my parents' restaurant is our quality is still really good. So you can definitely expect that as well. Our goal isn't to just put out, food that gets dry and leave it out for hours on end. That's not my style, and I don't really stand by that. So as of right now, after kind of doing measurements and speaking with designers, we are probably looking at about getting anywhere from about 70 to 80, 90 seats in there, because we have to account for the buffet setup. One of the things I always just try to keep in mind is just how fast we try to turn over tables. So that's kind of where we really make our money, is making sure that we're constantly serving people quick and getting the next group in as soon as possible. Takeout is going to be a huge business, and it still is, and it's going to continue to grow. COVID really changed that, especially in the Chinese food industry. Takeout was already huge. That was already a major model for us with my parents' restaurant, but COVID really kind of propelled it even more forward. Next, let's talk about the size of the space. I had someone actually comment that space was too small for a buffet, which, here's the thing. You kind of have to ask yourself, with Peterborough being the demographic that it is, we're not going to be able to support the size of something like a Mandarin that is in bigger cities like Oshawa and Markham, right? There's a reason why it's only come out all the way to Oshawa. Maybe in a few years, as our population continues to increase, this might be the demographic for them. But, in order to support and sustain a certain style and size of buffet, you have to have X amount of staff, and you have to have, a certain amount of square footage to make it work. We actually just went to the Mandarin this past week for my dad's birthday and to also kind of scope it out. And the amount of staff that they have to just man all the stations, can't even see the kitchen, but between the hostess, the servers, and the takeout counters, it is like a major production. The amount of labor dollars that those people are spending on like a Monday night was, to me, like mind-blowing. Just the amount of labor that has to go into sustaining a place like that is huge. And we know that wages are always going up. Finding great labor is also more challenging nowadays. So those are things that we have to keep in mind. So for us, we're kind of like that mid-level buffet. We're not like a one table like buffet. It's going to still have stations, but it's going to be enough that people will still be able to have variety, have really good food, and I think just be generally happy that we have a buffet at all now that there aren't really any. So space I'm not really worried about, and at the end of the day, as a business person, I really have to maximize how I use my square footage and maximize the dollars that I make off that square footage. The last thing I want to mention about size of buffet is, having just gone to the Mandarin and the amount of variety there, I actually looked at what people were eating, and that was one of the things I wanted to kind of scope out was what were like the popular items. I was looking at everyone's plates and just talking about myself. I really only ate maybe 10 different things when I was there, and like that spread is huge, but I just kept eating the same 10 things. So just because there's a lot of variety doesn't mean a lot of it is actually eaten, and doesn't mean that's like their best thing. They have like a salad station that there's probably 16 little different salads, but one bowl is like a bowl of olives. So yeah, quantity is not always better than quality. All right, that's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment. Please ask me questions, whether it's about the new restaurant, Hanoi House, or just, restaurants in general. Happy to answer those. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe so you guys can stay up to date with what's going on. Thanks for tuning in again, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.